Nightlife and social scene create another clear divide. El Nido has developed a legitimate party scene. Beach bars, fire dancing, lots of young backpackers drinking buckets of cheap alcohol until dawn. If you're in your 20s and want a social party vibe along with your paradise, El Nido delivers. Coron is mellower, but still has plenty of bars and social opportunities. The Philippines' more liberal drinking culture and later closing times fuel this scene. Malaysia is a Muslim-majority country where alcohol is available but more expensive and less central to social life. The Perhentians have bars that serve alcohol, but it's not cheap and the vibe is much more laid back. Parties happen, but they're smaller, quieter, more about conversation than raging. This is a deal breaker for some travelers and a major plus for others. If you're looking for peace, for actual relaxation, for going to bed early and waking for sunrise, Malaysia suits that. If you want to party, Palawan is your better bet. Let's address water sports and activities directly. Both destinations offer the standard array of kayaking, paddleboarding, jet skiing, parasailing, and banana boat rides. The Philippines edges ahead for diving, simply due to the incredible wreck diving in Coron. Those wartime shipwrecks offer something truly unique. For kite surfing and windsurfing, Palawan has developed spots around El Nido with equipment rental and instruction available during the windy season. Malaysia shines for snorkeling accessibility and quality. The house reefs around Perhentian and Redang resorts are so good that you barely need to take boat tours. Step off the beach, swim 50 meters, and you're in thriving coral gardens. For learning to dive, both are excellent, but Malaysia's dive shops often have better equipment and more standardized safety procedures. The regulatory framework for dive operations is stricter, meaning the shops that operate are generally professional and well-maintained. Now we need to address the elephant in the room. Which destination truly wins? Here's where it gets interesting, because the answer depends entirely on what you value and what kind of traveler you are. If you're young, adventurous, on a tight budget, and willing to rough it a bit for the sake of dramatic scenery and Instagram-worthy shots, Palawan still delivers that in spades. The karst landscape is genuinely unmatched. The sense of adventure is higher, and if you time it right and choose your spots carefully, you can still find magic there. But if you value consistency, reliability, better infrastructure, stronger environmental protection, cultural diversity, safer food and water, easier logistics, and honestly just less hassle, Malaysia is objectively the better choice. You get the same beautiful beaches and clear water, equally good or better snorkeling and diving in terms of reef health, more comfortable accommodations for your money, better value overall, and far less tourist saturation in most locations. For families, Malaysia wins clearly. The infrastructure, safety, food safety, and medical care make travel with children significantly less stressful. For couples seeking romance and relaxation, Malaysia again pulls ahead with quieter beaches and more polished resort experiences at accessible prices. For solo travelers, especially women, Malaysia's safer feel and easier solo navigation make it preferable. For hardcore adventure seekers and photographers chasing dramatic landscapes, Palawan holds its ground. Here's the thing, though. The best answer might be experiencing both. But if you only have time and budget for one, and you're asking which delivers better overall value, better environmental stewardship, more authentic cultural experiences, and higher likelihood of your trip going smoothly while still being absolutely beautiful, Malaysia edges ahead. The gap isn't massive in terms of natural beauty. Both are stunning. But in almost every practical measure, what makes a destination excellent beyond just pretty views, Malaysia has developed its island tourism more thoughtfully and sustainably. The future trends are worth noting too. Palawan is at a crossroads. The Philippine government knows it needs to protect these areas or risk killing the golden goose. New environmental regulations are being discussed and sometimes implemented, but economic pressures are intense, and local communities understandably want development and income. The trajectory could go either way. Malaysia seems more committed to the sustainable tourism path, with long-term planning that balances development with conservation. This matters because it means the Malaysia you visit now will likely still be beautiful in 10 years, while Palawan's future is less certain. Cost over an entire trip crystallizes a comparison. A week in Palawan covering El Nido and Coron, including flights, accommodation, food, and activities will run you somewhere between $800 to $1,500 for a mid-range experience. Similar quality in Malaysia's islands runs about $600 to $1,200, with potentially better lodging and food for less money. If you're budget traveling and going very basic, both can be done cheaper, but Malaysia maintains better standards at the low end. The environmental impact of your visit matters too. If you care about responsible tourism, your money in Malaysia is more likely to contribute to conservation efforts through marine park fees and better regulated tourism. The infrastructure means less strain on local resources. In Palawan, tourism money doesn't always translate to environmental protection, and the infrastructure struggles to keep pace with visitor numbers, leading to waste management problems and resource depletion. So which wins? Malaysia edges ahead on nearly every practical metric, while matching Palawan for natural beauty. But in a less dramatic, more subtle way, Palawan wins for sheer visual impact and adventure factor. The honest truth? Both are incredible. Both deserve to be on your travel list. But if you had to choose one, if you value an excellent overall experience over just amazing photos, if you want your trip to be as smooth and enjoyable as it is beautiful, Malaysia's islands deliver that better. And if you care about your tourism dollar supporting better environmental practices, Malaysia makes that easier. The real winner, though? You, the traveler, because you now know the actual differences beyond the marketing hype. You understand that the most photographed destination isn't automatically the best one. You know that paradise comes in different forms, and sometimes the less famous option is actually superior where it counts. Whether you choose Palawan's dramatic beauty or Malaysia's polished island perfection, you'll make that choice understanding what you're really getting and what truly matters for your specific travel style. Let's get into activities beyond just beaches and snorkeling, because a great destination offers variety. Palawan absolutely wins for adventure and unique experiences. The Puerto Princesa Underground River is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, an 8-kilometer navigable underground river through a cave system filled with spectacular rock formations. It's one of the new 7 wonders of nature. There's nothing comparable in Malaysia's island destinations. El Nido offers rock climbing on those limestone cliffs, spelunking in hidden caves, and island-hopping adventures that feel genuinely exploratory. In Coron, beyond the world-class wreck diving, you have Kayangan Lake and Barracuda Lake, freshwater lakes with unique thermoclines and ecosystems found nowhere else. Malaysia counters with different strengths. Langkawi has a sky bridge and cable car system taking you up into the jungle-covered mountains for spectacular views. The island also has an excellent duty-free shopping situation, if you're into that. Tioman has fantastic jungle trekking through rainforest that's home to incredible biodiversity, including rare birds and monitor lizards. The hiking trails connect different villages, allow you to trek through forest and emerge at a new beach, which is pretty magical. The Perhentians are more limited for activities beyond water sports, but they deliver so well on that core experience that it hardly matters. Cultural experiences present another interesting comparison. Palawan's indigenous communities, particularly the Tagbanua and Batak people, have inhabited these islands for thousands of years. Some tours offer cultural experiences and visits to traditional villages, though the ethics and authenticity of these can be questionable depending on the operator. El Nido town itself has developed a distinct island culture, a mix of traditional Filipino hospitality and backpacker-influenced laid-back vibes. But let's be honest, it's become quite commercialized. Malaysia's islands are predominantly Malay Muslim communities with fascinating cultural traditions. During Ramadan, the pace of island life shifts noticeably. You'll hear the call to prayer echoing across the water 5 times a day. Local festivals and celebrations bring out traditional music, dance, and food. Because Malaysia is multicultural, you also encounter Chinese temples and Indian influences even on small islands. The cultural texture is richer and more varied. You're not just visiting an island. You're experiencing genuine Malaysian life that happens to be on an island. Weather patterns matter more than most people realize when planning. Both destinations are tropical, but the monsoon seasons differ critically. Palawan's dry season runs from November to May, with March to May being hottest. June to October brings a southwest monsoon with heavy rain and rough seas, making island hopping difficult or impossible. Many resorts close entirely during these months. You have about a 6-month window for optimal conditions. Malaysia's East Coast islands, including Perhentian, Redang, and Tioman, shut down completely from November to February when the northeast monsoon brings heavy weather. The islands literally close. Everyone evacuates, accommodations board up, but March to October offers excellent conditions. Langkawi and the West Coast islands have the opposite pattern, being best during the East Coast monsoon season. This means Malaysia actually offers year-round island options if you know where to go. Timing your trip wrongly in either destination means disappointment, but Malaysia gives you more flexibility across a calendar year. Here's something crucial that influences everything else: environmental philosophy and execution. The Philippines has strong environmental laws on paper, but enforcement is inconsistent and often beholden to local political and economic pressures. Illegal fishing still occurs. Development sometimes happens without proper environmental review. There's often a sense that economic development trumps environmental protection when push comes to shove. This isn't unique to the Philippines. It's a struggle in developing nations everywhere. But it means that Palawan's incredible natural beauty is under constant threat. Malaysia has taken a more systematic approach. The marine park systems are federally managed with real budgets and enforcement mechanisms. Development on islands requires navigating layers of environmental review. There's genuine political will at the national level to maintain Malaysia's reputation for ecotourism. Yes, development still happens, and not all of it is ideal, but there's more institutional framework protecting these places. The result is visible in clearer water, healthier reefs, and better maintained natural areas. Let's talk about something practical that affects everyone: healthcare and emergencies. If something goes wrong, if you get injured, have a diving accident, or just get really sick, what happens? In Palawan, serious medical care requires evacuation to Puerto Princesa or even Manila. El Nido has basic clinics, but anything serious means you get on a plane or enduring that long van ride while injured or ill. Dive insurance is absolutely essential because a decompression chamber is hours away. Malaysia has better medical infrastructure on the islands and faster access to quality care. Langkawi has hospitals capable of handling serious issues. Pulau Perhentian and other islands have clinics with doctors who can stabilize and arrange rapid transfers to mainland hospitals that are genuinely good. Kota Bharu Hospital is less than 2 hours away by boat and vehicle. The national healthcare system in Malaysia is quite competent, and many doctors speak excellent English. Medical evacuation insurance is still smart, but you're less likely to need it. Social media has ruined both destinations in different ways, but let's examine how. El Nido became an Instagram sensation, which drove explosive tourist growth. The Secret Beach, Snake Island Sandbar, Shimizu Island, these places got photographed and shared millions of times. The result? Everyone wants that exact photo, creating congestion at specific spots, while other equally beautiful areas remain empty just because they haven't gone viral. Tour operators follow the photos rather than spreading people out, concentrating impact on the most photogenic locations. Malaysia's islands haven't had quite the same Instagram explosion, partly because they've been less aggressively marketed internationally. This has been a weird blessing. The Perhentians are popular, but it's a manageable popularity. You can still find deserted beaches easily. Raw Island and Cebu Island are barely on the social media radar despite being absolutely gorgeous, which means they're quiet and uncrowded. If you're someone who wants to escape the masses and have genuine peaceful moments, Malaysia's relative under-the-radar status works in your favor. Malaysia's island accessibility is surprisingly sophisticated. Most Malaysian islands are accessible via fast ferries or short boat rides from the mainland. To reach the Perhentian Islands, you fly to Kota Bharu, which is regular, affordable flights from Kuala Lumpur. The flight is about an hour, and then it's a short taxi ride to the jetty and a 40-minute boat ride. The entire journey from Kuala Lumpur to being on the beach, about 4 to 5 hours total, and significantly less stressful. For Tioman Island, you can take a ferry directly from Mersing on the mainland, or even fly directly to Tioman's small airport. Redang has similar options. The infrastructure is simply more developed, more reliable, and designed to get tourists where they need to be without the adventure becoming an ordeal. But there's more to the accessibility story. Malaysia's public transportation system is light years ahead of the Philippines. This means that even getting to the jumping-off points is easier. Buses are modern, air-conditioned, and run on time. The roads are well-maintained. If you're the type of traveler who doesn't want to fly everywhere and prefers overland travel, Malaysia makes that comfortable. In the Philippines, overland travel can be an adventure in itself, and not always the good kind. Buses break down. Schedules are suggestions rather than commitments, and comfort can be hit or miss. Let's shift to something that serious divers and snorkelers care about deeply: marine life and reef health. This is where we need to get honest about what's happening beneath the surface. Palawan once had some of the most pristine reefs in Southeast Asia. Some areas still do, particularly around Coron, where the famous Japanese shipwrecks have become artificial reefs teeming with life. The wreck diving in Coron is world-class, absolutely no question. These World War II ships sitting on the ocean floor covered in coral are bucket list diving experiences. But the reef health in heavily tourist areas has declined noticeably. Studies have shown significant coral bleaching and physical damage in areas around El Nido from boats, anchors, and the sheer volume of swimmers and snorkelers applying sunscreen that damages coral. Malaysia has taken a harder line on reef protection. In Redang, Perhentian, and Tioman, marine parks are not just designated on paper. They're actively enforced. Rangers patrol the waters. Boats are required to use designated mooring buoys instead of dropping anchors on reefs, and certain areas are completely off-limits to protect spawning grounds. The Perhentian Islands in particular have seen their turtle populations rebound significantly due to strict nesting site protection. You're virtually guaranteed to see green and hawksbill turtles on any snorkeling trip. The coral coverage and health of Malaysian marine parks consistently rank higher in regional assessments than comparable sites in the Philippines that don't have the same enforcement. But, and this is important, Palawan still has remote areas that are absolutely spectacular. If you venture beyond the tourist hotspots, places like Port Barton offer a glimpse of what El Nido was like 20 years ago. Smaller scale, fewer tourists, healthier reefs. The problem is that these places are developing quickly, and without strong environmental protections being enforced, they're following the same trajectory as El Nido. Now, let's talk about something that affects your actual day-to-day experience, but rarely makes it into travel guides: infrastructure and amenities. When you're on a tropical island, you expect things to be a bit rustic. That's part of the charm. But there's rustic, and then there's actually problematic. In El Nido, power outages are common. Many accommodations run generators for only a few hours a day. Water pressure is often weak. Wi-Fi is unreliable at best. Now, some travelers love this because it forces you to disconnect and be present. But if you need to work remotely, stay in touch with family, or just want to share your amazing photos without waiting 2 hours for them to upload, it becomes frustrating. Malaysia's islands have significantly better infrastructure. Stable electricity is standard. Water systems are more reliable. Wi-Fi is available at most accommodations and actually works. This isn't about turning paradise into a city. It's about basic functionality that makes your stay comfortable without constant worries about whether your phone will charge or if there will be water for your shower. Langkawi is practically at city-level infrastructure while maintaining its island charm. Even the more rustic islands like the Perhentians have reliable basics. Safety is another factor we need to address honestly. Both destinations are generally safe for tourists, but there are differences. Palawan has had incidents in the past with kidnappings by militant groups in the far southern areas near the borders with Malaysia. These have become rare, and the tourist areas like El Nido and Coron are far from these zones and considered safe. The Philippine military maintains a presence, and tour companies follow strict protocols. Still, travel advisories occasionally mention these concerns, particularly for solo travelers. Malaysia has virtually no such issues. The country is politically stable, has a strong security presence in tourist areas, and incidents involving tourists are extremely rare. The legal system is robust, and there's a strong emphasis on tourist safety as part of the national tourism strategy. For solo travelers, particularly women, Malaysia often feels more comfortable. The cultural norms around respectful interaction are strong, and there's less aggressive touting or hassling of tourists. Here's something that will surprise you: food quality and safety. Both destinations have amazing food. Let's be clear. Filipino cuisine in Palawan features incredible fresh seafood, adobo, sinigang, and tropical fruits. But food preparation standards can vary wildly. Traveler's stomach is a common complaint in El Nido, often from restaurants that don't maintain proper food safety standards or from ice made with untreated water. You learn quickly which places are safe and which to avoid, but there's trial and error involved. Malaysia's food scene benefits from stricter health regulations and a culture that takes food preparation seriously across all price levels. From street food to restaurants, there's generally more consistency in quality and safety. You can eat at the cheapest local warung and trust that food handling practices are solid. Plus, the diversity is incredible. Malay, Chinese, Indian, Thai influences all mixing together. On Langkawi or Perhentian, you'll find everything from amazing nasi lemak to fresh tandoori fish to Chinese-style steam grouper. Palawan's food is delicious but less diverse, mostly variations on Filipino cooking, which is wonderful but can feel limited after a week or two. Here we go. If you've ever dreamed about paradise, chances are you've scrolled past photos of crystal clear waters, limestone cliffs rising from the sea, and beaches so perfect they don't look real. But here's something that might shock you. Two of the most stunning tropical destinations on Earth are locked in an invisible competition that most travelers have no idea about. On one side, we have Palawan in the Philippines, crowned as one of the world's best islands year after year. On the other side, Malaysia's own tropical gems that locals will tell you are just as magnificent, if not better. And what I'm about to reveal will completely change how you think about planning your next island escape. Now, before you click away thinking this is just another travel comparison, let me tell you something that even seasoned travelers miss. The winner of this showdown isn't what you'd expect, and the reasons why will actually save you money, give you better experiences, and might even keep you safer. But we need to start with what everyone sees first, the beaches, because this is where things get really interesting. Palawan has El Nido and Coron. These names alone make travel bloggers lose their minds. The lagoons, the hidden beaches, the sheer cliffs that drop into water so blue it looks photoshopped. Big lagoon, small lagoon, secret lagoon. These places have become so iconic that they're practically the poster children for a tropical paradise. Nakpam Beach stretches for miles with powdery white sand and barely anyone on it. Or at least, that used to be true. Here's what nobody tells you in those Instagram posts. El Nido has become so overwhelmed with tourists that the Philippine government had to temporarily close Boracay, another famous island, for 6 months to clean up environmental damage. El Nido is heading in that direction. The boats are packed, the lagoons are crowded, and during peak season, you're sharing that secret beach with about 200 other people who also thought they discovered something secret. Now, let's talk about Malaysia. Most people immediately think of the Perhentian Islands, or maybe Langkawi if they know anything about Malaysian beaches. But here's where it gets fascinating. Malaysia has islands that rival Palawan's beauty, but operate under completely different circumstances. Take the Perhentian Islands. Two main islands, Perhentian Besar and Perhentian Kessel, surrounded by some of the clearest water in Southeast Asia. The coral reefs here are so vibrant and accessible that you can literally wade into the water from the beach and be surrounded by sea turtles within minutes. No boat needed. No crowds fighting for position. Just you and ancient creatures gliding past like they own the place, which technically they do. But there's something else happening in Malaysia that changes everything. Redang Island, Tioman Island, and the lesser-known gems like Raw Island and Cebu Island. These places have something Palawan is rapidly losing: controlled access. Malaysia has been much more aggressive about limiting tourist numbers and enforcing marine park rules. When you visit these islands, you actually pay a marine park conservation fee, and that money goes directly into protecting the reefs and beaches. The result? The underwater visibility in places like Redang regularly hits 30 meters. You can see the ocean floor like you're looking through air. Meanwhile, parts of Palawan's reefs have been damaged by dynamite fishing, over-tourism, and inadequate waste management. Hold on, though, because Palawan has an ace up its sleeve that we need to address. The Bacuit archipelago where El Nido sits isn't just pretty water and beaches. The limestone karst formations create a landscape that looks like something from another planet. Massive stone pillars jutting hundreds of feet into the air, caves that you can kayak through, hidden lagoons that you enter through tiny gaps in a rock. This geological drama is something Malaysia's islands simply don't have in the same way. Langkawi has some limestone formations and caves, yes, but nothing on the scale and concentration of Palawan. If you want that epic, movie-like scenery where you feel like you're exploring a lost world, Palawan delivers in ways that are hard to match. But let's dig into something that matters more than most people realize. Cost. Because paradise isn't paradise if it bankrupts you. Here's where things get really interesting, and where one destination pulls significantly ahead. In Palawan, specifically El Nido, accommodation prices have skyrocketed. A basic beach hut that would have cost you $15 a night 5 years ago now easily runs $40 to $60, and that's for pretty mediocre quality. A decent mid-range resort? You're looking at $100 to $200 per night. Food prices have followed the same trajectory. A simple meal in El Nido town now costs about the same as eating in Manila, which defeats the whole purpose of being in a small island town. Malaysia operates differently. The Malaysian government has invested heavily in tourism infrastructure, while also maintaining price accessibility for middle-class travelers. In the Perhentian Islands, you can still find beach chalets for $25 to $40 a night that are clean, comfortable, and literally steps from the water. On Tioman Island, family-run goose houses offer rooms for even less, and the food is not only cheaper but often more diverse because Malaysia's multicultural population means you're eating Malay, Chinese, and Indian cuisine all on the same island. A full meal with drinks in the Perhentians? Around $5 to $8. In El Nido? You're easily spending double that minimum. The boats and tours reveal even more dramatic differences. Island hopping tours in El Nido cost around $25 to $35 per person, which seems reasonable until you realize you're packed onto a boat with 20 to 30 other tourists, following the exact same route as every other boat, arriving at each spot at the exact same time, creating traffic jams of boats at the popular lagoons. In Malaysia, you have more options. You can book private boat tours for not much more money, or join small group tours that are genuinely small, like 6 to 8 people. The pace is relaxed, and because the islands are spread out and diverse, you're not all funneling to the same 3 spots. Now, we have to talk about something that could literally make or break your trip: accessibility and travel logistics. This is where one destination has a massive, often overlooked advantage. Getting to Palawan means flying to Puerto Princesa or directly to El Nido if you can afford the pricier tickets. The flights from Manila aren't terrible, about an hour and a half, but they're not cheap either, especially during peak season when prices surge. Once you're in Puerto Princesa, you're looking at a 5 to 6 hour van ride to El Nido, and let me tell you, that road is rough. It's gotten better over the years, but it's still long and exhausting. For Coron, you fly separately, adding more time and expense. And if you want to visit both El Nido and Coron, you're either taking another long boat ride or flying back to Manila and out again.